Hey everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a large family living off-grid in Australia. It is Tuesday morning, so I have come back from the groceries over the weekend. I've put a few videos out and got, waylaid with a few things. We've started on prepping all the food that I bought, but we haven't got very far in it. We had a bit of a fire scare yesterday, but now it's raining and supposed to rain all week. So pros and cons to that. Rain, as you know, if you've been around for a while, is not the greatest because this roof leaks and we haven't got the solid one up and anyway. But we still have to get this food sorted because we don't want anything to go to waste. So I'm actually going to start the morning off making a Dutch baby. We have a whole lot of eggs at the moment. Heaps and heaps of eggs. The turkeys are laying and the chooks are laying, and it's not warm enough for the goannas and things like that, so we need to use some eggs up. So the kids had yogurt and granola and stuff earlier before they started school for the day, but I'm going to make a Dutch baby as well for them to have for morning tea, early lunch. Also need to get the tomatoes canned that I roasted in the Sunday chat video, so that's gonna get this in the oven first. So my Dutch baby is up on the website, I'm pretty sure, but we do a family size one. We do it in a big, what is equivalent of a 9 by 13. I have the oven on preheating, so I'm going to put a good amount of ghee in the bottom, and I'm going to get this pan into the oven and it will preheat while I make up my batter. All right, so while we get that pan nice and hot, we're going to mix up the batter. Super simple. We're going to use 18 eggs. These turkey eggs are the equivalent of 1.5. So, and the shells are really tough on them. So we got 4 turkey eggs, which is the equivalent to 6 chicken eggs. All right, so we've got 18 eggs in here. We want 600 grams of milk. So what I do is a tin of coconut cream and half fill it with water. And then we want 350 grams of flour. You just have to unplug something to plug this one in. So we'll just measure in 350 grams of flour, just plain flour. And then I just add a pinch of salt. Now you can add some sweetener to this if you want, but we serve it with stewed fruit and maple syrup, things like that. It doesn't need sweetener. You can add, you don't need to add any baking powder or anything else because the quantity of eggs in it are the leavening agent, so you do not need to add any more to that. So all we're going to do is we're going to put this on speed 5 for about 30 seconds, and we're just going to scrape it down, and it's basically just a crepe batter look. It's really thin. It's just a very liquidy batter. All those eggs, that little bit of milk, that bit of flour. So now I'm going to pour that straight into the already heated pan with where the fat is. The fat will create the non-stick surface, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. And that's a really simple, filling, lots of egg usage breakfast. So I've done that, and I will bring you back to show it, and then I'll figure out what I'm doing next. All right, so while that's cooking for the kids, I'm going to make some hollandaise for Darryl and I to have with some eggs and asparagus and some ham. So we're going to do it in the Thermomix because it's so super simple to do in the Thermomix. We're going to tear our scales and check that they're stable enough. We're still having some, my bench is just not, because it's stainless steel, it curves in places, and I avoid the issues by having the TM6 on a board, but I don't have a board that's the right size for this one yet. I will need to get one. So we're going to put some lemon juice, 10 to 20 grams of lemon juice in to taste. We like ours fairly lemony, so we'll do Oops, I thought this was seedless, but it's not. So I'm just going to fish. Lucky I'm the one eating this. Just going to fish a couple of seeds out of there. Alrighty, we're going to put some butter. We want 150 grams of butter cut into cubes. Alrighty, we're going to put a pinch of salt. Nope. Pinch of salt and some black pepper to taste. And then I just need 4 egg yolks, so I will grab those. I forgot to restart my camera when I came back. I put the 4 egg yolks in there with a little bit of water, about 10 grams of water, and hit start, and it's doing its thing. It's on a thicken mode, so what it'll do is it'll heat up a little bit so that butter melts a little bit, and then it will start spinning as needed, and then you serve it however you want. So now I'm going to grab some asparagus out. We're going to grill some asparagus with some butter and some garlic and some bacon or some ham or something, and we'll have that for breakfast. I actually have a couple of cheese Kranskis from it was a 4-pack and we ate 2 of them for something else. So I'm actually going to slice these up. Since it's already open, I'm going to just slice these and we'll have the plenty of asparagus. I got 3 nice bunches of asparagus here because I bought that entire box. And we want to get it used, which is why we gorge on the fresh veg and stuff in the first week so that we make sure that it gets used. There we go, the Thermomix mixing has kicked in, so I'm just going to slice these up into nice thin pieces like this and grill it off, and then I'll probably grill the asparagus off in the fat from these because this will be garlicky and fatty after frying this. So I'll show you the plate when it's done. I cracked some eggs for Darryl and I to have with our asparagus and stuff, and I just thought I'd mention, I think you should be able to see, for anyone who hasn't had eggs, who hasn't had chickens, and then like is hatching their own chickens and has turkeys, as roosters and stuff, the way you can tell whether an egg has been fertilized or not is by this spot here. So see how this spot is this big white spot? That's because that egg has been fertilized. If you don't have the big white bullseye spots, they're not fertile eggs. So I just thought that was an interesting thing. All of these are fertilized because we have roosters and chickens and hens, and they're fine to eat. There's no issues with eating them when they're fertilized. You just need to make sure that they don't go too far because then when you crack them it's pretty gross. So the Dutch baby is ready and it looks fantastic as usual. It's such an impressive dish, the way that it just, you know, does what it does. So the kids will have that with, they can have some fruit with it if they want, or they can have it with just some maple syrup or whatever. But that is done and done for breakfast, and I'll show you ours when it's done. Right, and this is what we've got. So the hollandaise finished a bit before. I scraped it down and double checked it. It's a bit thicker now because it's been sitting, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And generous amount of hollandaise, extra bit of cracked pepper, and there we go. That is brunch for Darryl and I. Alright, because I've got a few things that I need to get done, I've given this a quick rinse, but I'm going to run it on a clean cycle just to get it done while I'm doing other things. I'm going to clean a bowl for the other machine as well so that I can use that as well. I won't use them at the same time, but it allows me to do that. When I have multiple bowls for this one, then I probably will retire the other one maybe, because so long as I've got multiple bowls, I only run one at a time anyway, but this I only have the one bowl for here, so it makes it difficult. So all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run a clean cycle. I'm just going to run a standard quick 2-minute clean cycle. I've already given it a bit of a scrub. There's a litre of water and a little bit of dish soap in there, and it'll just heat up and clean the bottom of it for me. Alright, so I've got my containers full of the roasted tomato and onion. So what I need to do now is I need to puree it, which I'm going to do in the Thermomix, but then I need to put it in a pot and bring it up to a simmer to cook the air out of it. So by pureeing it, we're introducing too many bubbles. We don't want to can it with the bubbles in it. So we need to then bring it back up to temperature, low simmer for 10-15 minutes just to take the air out of it so that it is safe for canning. And Darryl's going to find me some jars. We're just going to discuss which size jars I want, and get that sorted while I get this pureed. So all I'm going to do is throw it in the Thermomix, lid on, put it in manual mode and put it on, say, we'll start at 4 and we'll probably take it up to 8. Just for 30 seconds. Now we're doing a decent spin on this because remember I left all the skins on, so we want to break them down. As I said, because it's a pizza sauce, it doesn't have to be completely broken down, and you don't actually have to do this smooth for pizza sauce either. I decided that I would this particular time because it gives me the opportunity to use this for other things as well if I want. But as you can see by the colour of it, that's because all that air's in it. So I'm going to throw this in the pot and I'm just going to repeat the process. Alright, so we've just got a pot here with all of that in there, and all I'm going to do is turn the temperature on low, keep it moving. We don't want to burn anything to the bottom, and we don't want to bring it up to a boil. We just want to bring it up to a simmer, cook all that air out. I will probably add a couple of teaspoons of sugar just to bring out the colour. It'll make it look really nice and red, and bring out the sweetness of the tomatoes, and maybe some lemon juice if need be. I'll taste it, but it depends on the tomatoes. Some of them were a little bit green looking still, so they might be a little bit tart, but it is a pizza sauce, so it's not a huge deal. And I will add a little bit of garlic. I'm just going to water bath these because the ratio of tomatoes to any of the non-acidic ingredients is well and truly above the level that needs to be for it to be water bathed. Though depending on your train of thought, still needs some acid included because it is store-bought tomatoes. That's up to you in the thing. The new guidelines state that you should add acid to all tomatoes these days because the tomatoes vary in acidity. So that's your call on that, your kitchen, your rules. But we're going to just bring this to a simmer to cook the air out. All right, so while that is simmering and Lamington says hi, and Darryl is washing the jars for me, I have the strawberries that I macerated. So we're going to make some vanilla ice cream to put these in. So I did two half tubs worth, which I'm going to turn into 4 tubs of ice cream is the theory. So this already has about 300 grams of sugar between the lot of it. So I am going to put a little bit more in the custard because, as I always say, when you're making something that is frozen, it's always less sweet once it's frozen. So you need to make it taste a little too sweet when you first cook it to make that work. So we're going to use coconut cream. I'm going to use 2 tins of coconut cream, and then I'm going to refill them both with water and use that as well. All right, and I'm just going to top that up with the water that is taking the extra bit of cream out, and so basically turned into milk. We've got the equivalent of about 8 egg yolks here. It's a combination of turkey and chicken egg yolks in there, so I'm going to throw those ones in. I'm going to do a pinch of salt and some vanilla bean paste. Just need a spoon for that one. All right, we can do a couple of spoonfuls of vanilla in that one. And then we're just going to cook it. So I'm going to do manual mode, and I will do 9 minutes at 90 degrees, speed 3, and then we'll just let that cook. And then after that we will blend the macerated strawberries through it, and then we'll split it into pints. It finished the 9 minutes, so put it on for a few minutes more. We don't need it to thicken because it's turning into ice cream. That's irrelevant. But I do want to get it up to 90 degrees just to make sure that the eggs are cooked through and all that sort of thing before it goes into the pots. So I've just put it on for a few minutes extra because it only got up to 70. It's a bigger batch than I normally make because I'm wanting to make enough for all of those. So that's fine. The pizza sauce is done. I added about a tablespoon of sugar, about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, and a tablespoon of garlic powder, and that's all good. It tastes great. It's probably not as thick as I would like, but I probably didn't roast them quite long enough, and I probably haven't simmered it quite long enough because my days have just been a little like that. And it's fine. it's chunky and it's thick enough. It's just probably not quite as thick as I would normally let it get for pizza sauce, but I'm really not particularly worried. I did find out afterwards, mind you, that we have no salsa left on the shelf either. And normally the only thing I make with fresh tomatoes when I do this is either pizza sauce or salsa, but I would have done salsa first because pizza sauce done with canned tomatoes is still fine, but salsa is not. But, you know, that's what happens. So this batch is sorted. I've got all the jars ready, but I am going to finish this ice cream first, so I may as well just let it keep simmering until I finish the ice cream, and then I'll set the bench up for canning this one. Alright, it got up to 90 degrees and it smells like vanilla custard, so I am happy with that. As I said, it's not thickened because the ratios are a little bit low for a really thick custard, because too many egg yolks, it doesn't work real well in the creamy. It just, even when you freeze it for over 24 hours, it just ends up too soft and just doesn't quite work. It would be great if you had one of those swirls or something and you were using it for soft serve or something, but for the way we use it, not quite so much. Now, in regards to the mixing the strawberries in, I think I've got too much liquid here to comfortably add those and blend it. I think it would take it over the full point. So I'm going to pour a little bit off into each of these. Like that. I'm going to add the strawberries in now, and the bit of sugar that's in here that didn't quite dissolve. Just like that. Same with the second one. Like that. And then we're going to blend this. Doesn't need to be perfect because the Ninja Creamy will blend it again, obviously. And then I'm just going to split some of this between the other ones as well, and we'll try and get them fairly even. So that we've got the flavours all split up fairly evenly. So we've got the plain vanilla base in there, and then we're going to top them up with the strawberry base. That was near perfect amount. I don't think I finished my last coffee, to be honest, because I've been out here the whole time. So yes, that worked out to be near perfect. And it smells wonderful. So now I will just find enough lids for all of these and we will get them in the freezer, and there is fresh strawberry ice cream for a few nights. I'll have to make sure I try this one when I mix it up for the kids because it smells lovely, and coconut and strawberry goes really well together. So let's get these in the freezer and I'll get the bench rearranged to start canning this pizza. Alright, so Darryl washed me 20 jars. It was a guesstimate on my behalf and we will see how close I got. And
wash more if she's not enough.
And these are just the 300 odd mil salsa jars. I like the size of these for pizza making. Sometimes they're not quite enough, but 2 is okay. But they're a good size for adding to other things as well. And because this is more of just like a tomato puree base, I can use this for a range of different things. So having it in this size jars will be convenient. He's just washing me a jug so that I can fill the jars. And I'm just going to fill jars and make a mess while I'm doing it.
I just cleaned it.
You did.
And you're messing it up.
Yep. Now I will probably steam can these in a couple of layers in the pressure canner because it's the easiest way for me to do them all at once. Just do it in the buffalo with a couple of layers. If you water bath them, you have to cover them completely in water. If you steam bath them, you only have to put a few quarts of water in the bottom. Same end result, less water usage and less weight in the canner. same times and everything else.
I thought I just heard you say you were in a water bath.
Well, they are water bath, steam canning, water bath canning. It's the same equivalent.
It's not pressure canning.
Not pressure canning, yeah. All right, so I filled this lot of jars first. This is what fits on my board here, and I've filled them to the shoulder because that's where I like to fill them. We've got you only have to do about 1/2 to 3/4 inch headspace on this sort of thing, but I like to fill it to where the jar starts to narrow. I find that that is the point where that works most consistently for me. So I'm using a bit of white vinegar on some paper towel to clean the rims of the jars as much as I can, all the way around the threads as well as the top surface, because these are lug lid jars, so the threads are an issue as well. If you're using like ball mason jars, then mostly it's just that top surface that the lid is going to adhere to, whereas when you've got threaded lids and threaded jars, then you want to try and have it as clean as possible all the way around the threads and along the surface of the top as well, to get as good a seal as you possibly can. So once they are all done, I have my lids here. These are all new lids, but they've been stored for a bit, so I'm going to give them all a good wipe out with vinegar as well. And then lug lid jars, you want to tighten completely. So the other difference between these and ball mason jars you just want fingertip tight. With lug lid jars you want to do them to full heel hand tight, to like that. So I'm just going to go through and do the rest of them, and then I'll fill the rest of the jars as well. Alright, so we've got another 12 jars. So we've ended up with 32 jars of this pizza sauce-esque type tomato puree. I have the pressure canner I'm using the pressure canner to steam can it, but the canner is warming up because we've got warm liquid in the jars, so we need to start with warm liquid in the canner, and I'm going to stack these. And as I said, I'm going to steam can them in the pressure canner. So I'm going to layer them in. There's 4 quarts of water in the bottom. We will wait till there is a steady stream of steam coming from the top, and then we will start our timer. Now, pizza sauce is 25 to 35 minutes depending on what's in it and stuff like that, in various different things. I didn't measure any of this, so I probably should go the top end of the canning time and do the 35 odd minutes for the pint and under size. So that's what we'll aim for, and 4 quarts of water should be enough to do that. The steam canner, that's the only problem with steam canning, is that you have to have enough water to be able to tolerate the steady stream of steam for the entire time that the processing is occurring. So you have to have enough in there. A steam canner, I do have a Fruit Saver steam canner, and it's great, except that you can only do 1 layer in it of most size jars, and you do have to be aware that 40 minutes is about the absolute max that you can process something, which I think is really probably the top end of anything that you would steam or water bath can anyway, if you're sticking by the guidelines, before it runs out of liquid. So you just have to be aware of that when steam canning, that you have to have enough liquid in the canner that it can run a steady stream of steam for the entire processing time. So, which also means that you have to not run it too hot. Because I run it on my camp chef, if I was running it at the highest temperature there was the whole time, I'd run out of water. So you need to have a steady stream of steam, but that doesn't mean that the canner needs to be on its max temperature, just high enough that you're running that steady stream of steam. So there's a little bit of a juggle with that as well. So anyway, ended up with 32 jars. I'm going to stack them in the canner and get them processing, and then I might sit down with my coffee and decide what else I need to get done today. So just going to go through and make sure that all of these are on properly. Now, unfortunately, because of the shape of the jars, I can only fit 3 layers, and I still can't quite fit all of them in there. 26, 27 jars in there. So I'll have to process them at once, and I'll have to pull the standard. Well, I can't use the standard steam canner because I'm using the tray for it in the bottom here. I don't know, freeze them, fridge them, I'll do something with the other ones. But yeah, I can only fit this many because it just doesn't quite juggle enough in there. Like, you know, it looks like it should fit more in the middle, but it doesn't. If you push them all to the outside edge and then try and put one in there, they're very, very firm. I might be able to, I'll have a juggle, but yeah. So we'll get what we can in here. Put lid on, steady stream of steam, start the timer for 35 minutes. All right, so I ended up with of these jars left that aren't processed. I'm going to throw these in the fridge for the moment. I did get some prawns with the shopping, so maybe I'll make a marinara pasta. I was going to make some pasta dough to use up some of these eggs as well. I'm not going to do it today though, because it's no fun rolling pasta out when it's damp out. It just doesn't work as well. So whilst we have rain forecast for the next week, some days are forecast more heavily than others. Today was a heavy day, tomorrow shouldn't be too bad. So I might look at doing the pasta tomorrow. And then we can use this. Worst comes to worst, I'll throw it in the freezer. I just don't really want to run another canner for 35 minutes just for those 5 jars. Sonnet is putting the last of the strawberries and some bananas on trays for the freezer for me. The next thing I need to do is the broccoli. So the broccoli is in the fridge, but it's not in fridge containers. It will last better in a fridge container than it will just loose in a box. So I'm going to line my Kmart fridge containers with a bit of paper towel and fill these with the broccoli so that it will last a bit longer. Now all I do with the broccoli is cut it to fit a little bit better. So I tend to cut the heads in half, tuck them in, the stems off so that they can be tucked in too, and then I just trim it as needed when I go to use it for whatever purpose that I'm going to use it. The more exposed points you have on it, the more points that have the tendency to go brown. So I try not to do it too much, cut too much up of it, but at the same time I want as few containers as possible. So cutting that flat surface helps me to fit more in the containers. So that's what I do. There's more in the fridge. I just couldn't get the whole box out in one go, so I just grabbed some. And I will load up all these containers and then I will get it in the thing. Thank you. Okay. So I just fill them up like that, paper towel in the bottom, and they stay crunchy for a couple of weeks sometimes. It really, in the bottom of our chest fridge that runs a little bit colder than a standard fridge, they last really well, so long as they are tucked into these containers. So I'm just going to fill them all, and then I will again reassess what else really needs doing today. Alright, so I got 4 of these Kmart containers full and a bit extra, but that's fine because we'll have some with dinner tonight. So those 4 containers go in the fridge. The other thing I just realised I need to do is I need to make some yogurt. So I bought the kids some yogurt when I did the groceries so that they would have some to use. I had the wrong lid for this container. So they would have some to use while in the first few days, but they've eaten that. So I need to make some more. So I'm going to pull the Louvel out and get some yogurt going for the kids as well. All right, my mic is nearly run out, so I'm just going to show you this, and then I'm going to have to go and charge everything, and it's 10 to 4, so that's probably it for today. I don't know if I'll finish this off here or not, but if I do, I'll come back. So I'm just going to quickly put this yogurt on. I'm going to put 100 grams, 150 maybe for 2 litres. 150 odd grams of milk powder. I'm using UHT milk so that I don't have to heat it and then cool it again. So I'm going to put some in here so that I can dissolve this. I bought this little, anyone who watched my showing video, I bought this little tiny whisk on impulse, because I saw it at Woolworths, because I thought it'd be really good for like beating up just 1 or 2 eggs in a bowl rather than my big one that I end up dropping and spraying stuff everywhere. Mind you, I just, sprayed stuff everywhere. But I really like it. I really like the little mini whisk. I like the fact that it's all silicone, so it's not, when it's in glass, it's not causing me issues. I did something with it the other day, yesterday or the day before, and I realised that it was really good because it was silicone, so I didn't have to worry about it. Oh, I can't get the yogurt culture open. My hand's just not working. Good. All right. Something I was doing that had was in glass, and I went, oh, that works really well because it's silicone in glass sort of thing. I can't remember what it was now. It'll come to me, I'm sure. All right, I've got some culture here, and I'm using about 1/16 of a teaspoon. Of that. I would use yogurt that I had left if I had any yogurt left, but I don't. So we're just using that 1/16 of a teaspoon. And my teaspoon was damp because everything's damp because it's raining, so I'm just trying to make sure I get all the culture off it. I'm actually going to attempt, I don't normally sweeten my yogurts because they have it with like sweetened granola, or we put a jar of the pureed fruit or something in it. But they were all saying about how much they really liked the vanilla yogurt that we had bought, sorry. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put a bit of vanilla. SD card ran out. I don't know exactly where. I added some vanilla, so nice and decadent. Going to add some honey because I don't want to dissolve raw sugar, which would be my first choice. Now, ideally, I'd prefer to use raw sugar because I think the flavour would be better. I'm not a huge fan of honey, but the kids like honey, so it should be fine. But if I thought about it, or if I had a clean Thermomix bowl, I could heat this milk up with the sugar to dissolve the sugar and then put it in here. So I'm just going to top that up and then get it in the maker. So we're just going to top this up, just like that. Give it another bit of a stir. And that's it. And now I'm going to put the lid on it, and I'm going to put it in the Louvel yogurt maker. So this has a water bath in the bottom, like this. Has a water bath in the bottom, has a digital thing on the front, and a lid, and it will go in this for 12 hours. I do have an affiliate for Louvel, so if anyone's interested, that's who I have my mincer from too. So I really like these products. So I'm going to put a lid on this, put it in the yogurt maker, and I'll show it to you tomorrow. Good afternoon. So it is Wednesday, and I filmed all this stuff yesterday to do with the pizza sauce and everything. And I just pulled all that content into my editing program to see how long it was, because I haven't actually filmed anything today, and it's probably long enough to be a standalone video as that one day worth of food prep. So what I thought I'd do is I come in and I'd say this is the end of that video, but also to just finish it off. So pizza sauce, this is how it ends up. Full jars of this gorgeous red pizza sauce. Now, there was a few jars that didn't fit in the canner. So what I have done is they have gone in the fridge, and I'm going to make some seafood marinara pasta up for dinner tonight. Use some of that high protein pasta. It's not particularly low carb, but Darryl has that as a treat every now and again. So the penne, that's quite nice, the high protein, lower carb pasta. And we'll do some prawns. We got those garlic prawns from Costco. We'll try them out. I'll let you know how they are. And I'll cook up some bacon bits and maybe some onion and some garlic and fry all that off and add the marinara sauce and have that with the prawns and pasta as a treat meal tonight. So that's what I'll do with the ones that didn't go through the canner. But we got 29 of these that went through the canner that are going on the shelf. So these are all sorted and done and sealed. Now, with the lug lid jars, one of the things that people say is they don't know how to tell where they're sealed. If you place something, I don't know if I can get the angle right. If you place something over the jar that's flat, and you can see under the flat, you can see through to the other side that there's a gap, then you know that the lid is concave and it has sealed. That's one of the easiest ways to check. There's a sound factor too. If it's sealed, it's sort of a dull sound. If it hasn't sealed, it's almost a hollow sort of a sound. So you can generally tell by that as well. So that's two ways that you can check if the jars have sealed after they're processed, and then get them on the shelf. Obviously, with things that are water bath too, You can tell if they haven't sealed. They'll ferment, or they will get moldy, or the lids will bulge, or whatever else. If it looks funky, don't eat it. Try and do everything you possibly can the correct way so that you don't risk that, because you don't want to do all that work and then have a jar that doesn't seal. But so long as you've done everything you were supposed to do and followed all the steps, they should be fine. But if you open it and it doesn't pop open, doesn't make a hiss, doesn't make a pop when you open it, it has mold on it visibly, or it smells fermented or sour or something, don't eat it. And you'll just call that one unfortunate fail. So, you know. The other thing was the yogurt. So this is how the yogurt turns out. My bench isn't real clean at the moment because I haven't been using it. The kids have already had some. But this is the lovely, thick, creamy, vanilla honey yogurt that we made. So it turns out really well with the UHT milk and that little bit of milk powder. Normally I would add calcium chloride, which also helps with the thickening, but I think I've got the ratios pretty good at the moment because I didn't have any calcium chloride drops. But that's how the yogurt turns out as well. So we actually made pancake bake this morning because the kids requested that. So I had that with some of the made that with some of the yogurt, and they also had some with the homemade granola. So I just wanted to show you that that's how the yogurt turned out as well. Finish off all the things that I did yesterday, because a lot of the time the problem with some of these videos is that I film them across multiple days, and sometimes the finish of things isn't shown in the same video. It's not shown until the next video, which is sometimes a couple of days later, and I'm sure it can be frustrating at times. So I thought, because I have the opportunity to, I'm going to. It is already 3:10 this afternoon. I have done nothing but print tissue, toilet paper holders, and admin work, and got that video up this morning and things like that. So I haven't done anything else in the kitchen, which is an issue. I've got to get those lemons done and those mangoes done. So I'm going to have to spend the time tomorrow. But for today, I've had a pretty non-kitchen day, and I just wanted to finish that off. And I will put this all together, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.